Hey guys, and welcome to this video. As you can already hear, this time it's again in English. The background of this is that I made a challenge with two guys from Facebook, and we played a 2 versus 1. We actually made 3 games. I only could manage to win one of these 3. And now one of the two, who is called Darren or Pride in the game, he sent me 3 games, and he's around 800 ELO, and I'm around 1100 ELO, so I'm about 300 ELO above him. And he asked me for some criticism on his games, because he wants to get a little bit better, and he tries to get around 1000 ELO potentially. Yeah, so he sent me these 3 games, and let's start with the first one. And he's playing as humans in this case, in red, versus a Teuton player. Okay, that's an interesting matchup, definitely. Okay, and it's this seed of Mega Random, because there are like I think 40 or 45 random map seeds. So basically, I think there are like 40 million combinations that are possibly or theoretically possible in Mega Random, but I think Mega Random has like 40 or 45 seeds, and yeah, all the other maps are basically just a combination of it. And yeah, okay, so this is now the one where you start on this kind of hill. Personally, I never really liked that one because you don't tend to have a very nice wood line. I mean, you have some backwood here in the back of your base, but yeah, never really liked that one. But so far it's looking quite good actually. He's making his villagers, he's getting in his llamas. Theoretically he could already put another llama under VTC, or maybe even a second one there. But so far all looking quite good. Now he's making his first lumber camp. I do like that. Yeah, and he's scouting so far. What you could be doing, Darren, with one of these llamas is take one llama and make some waypoints with shift, and use the llama as a scout, so that your scout basically can scout everything that's towards the enemy, and the back of the base can't be scouted with one llama, because yeah, we are just standing around here, so we're not doing anything at this point. Just take one of these llamas and say pop 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 pop, and then to VTC, and then you basically get this scouting information here much faster. So yeah, that's one thing I would be doing. This map is now mega random. Darren said that he also chose random civ, because if he hadn't, I would be very convinced that he was going for a second TC in feudal age. Maybe he's still doing that. I don't know. But as he didn't pick them, I wouldn't say it's his initial plan. Okay, now he's making his first mill. I like that. Theoretically, as there are 2 bushes here, you could have put the mill around here. Yeah, now because you're making 2 mills, and I think that's quite a bit of wood base. And as I already said, you don't have that much wood in your back base, so not too sure about doing a second mill there. Okay, the opponent is already going on farms before eating these berries. Okay, now he has already, how many are those? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 farms, but okay, he's Teuton, so he does save a lot of wood on these farms. Yeah, but this is also not good what he's doing. He has a lot of deer here, he doesn't eat the deer, but makes farms instead, also doesn't take the berries. And the problem with this is, not only could you wait for your farms to become better in feudal age, but the next thing is space. As you can see, your space is a bit limited on this map generation. So if you don't eat the berries, the problem is that you will have some space occupied by the berries, and that's of course not good, because yeah, you could put a barracks or something like that in here. And as I said, space is a little bit limited. The problem is also that you can't wall, or you can't put buildings on these, how do I call it? On these little mountains, on these little plains here. So yeah, basically you have 2 good reasons to eat your berries, and the first one is of course to not spend so much wood, and the second one is simply to have more space, because as I said, it's not that much space here. And once you're in Castle Age, that usually makes problems. But okay, in Castle Age you usually would pilgrimage down and go into the center and try to take some of this wood and so on. But yeah, just saying, I think it's not a good idea not to eat the berries. And yeah, this mill also is pretty misplaced as long as you don't go on the berries. So yeah, not really liking what the green player is doing here either. And yeah, you also start with farms now. And yeah, it's okay to make a couple of farms in Dark Age if you want to have some aggressive uptime so that you get your food in faster. So it's not completely wrong to make some farms in Dark Age. But look at this, you have 5 deer. Everyone is 140 food, so there are in total 700 food. Of course, there is still some decay. But if you factor that in, that's a solid 600 food that you have here. So that would be actually enough food to go up to Castle Age. And now there's another big problem. You're already at 32 pop. Oh no, that's oh no, it's red player. Sorry, I thought I was still with the green player. Yeah, 32 pop. That's a very, very slow uptime for Feudal Age. On closed maps like Mishi or Arena, where you have either a wood line or walls that are protecting you, it's okay to be a little bit slower. But even if you're playing Fast Castle, you usually go up to Feudal Age with 26, 27, maybe a maximum of 28 villagers. Always depending on the civ. I mean, if you're up in Bengalis, for instance, and you spawn some extra villagers, in Feudal Age, you might go up with 28, but actually I prefer to go up faster with Bengalis. Or Melee, we also can advance to the next age faster, but 32 in every case is much too slow. And also this is a very open map, so you could very well attack with scouts. Maybe also with archers, but with this hill factoring in, I think I personally would prefer scouts on this map. Usually I go archers. I do an archer rush usually if I do a rush at all. But on this map you can go scouts. And now I don't expect a very aggressive build order like 19 pop scouts. That's really crazy and you have to practice that build order before it really works actually. So I don't expect 19 villagers uptimes, but at the maximum with 21, 22 you should go up. Okay, the enemy is doing a tower here. But he didn't actually really need one. Okay, so he just makes a tower in case, like, if someone comes, I make a tower. Yeah, not really sure what to think about that one. I mean, especially towers, they protect you versus archers. So if the enemy goes archers and you have some scouting information and you know, oh, he already has 2 archer ranges and he's producing archers, it's completely fine to make a defensive tower. But this one, the problem is just it doesn't serve any purpose. And in this case, I would rather go up to Castle Age fast and use the stone for town centers. Especially as there isn't that much resources left here anyways. I mean, there's a couple of trees here still. But in like 5 or 6 minutes, they are all gone. So, yeah, I'm not really sure about this one. Okay, now you go a double stable. That's a good idea, I think. Going some scouts. Also getting bloodlines already. Okay. Yeah. I think now that you have already that many villagers, I would personally. Okay. He's already making town center. I didn't see that. Sorry. I didn't say anything. I've not said anything. Yeah. Not too sure whether it's a good idea to commit into bloodlines. Because the most effective rush is of course a rush that is fast. And I think sending in 3 scouts earlier and just doing some villager damage, maybe killing 1 or 2 villagers, and most of all causing some idle time is probably the most effective thing. You don't even have to kill a villager if you can cause like 10 villagers to have 1 minute of idle time. That's already enough eco damage that you're dealing there. Yeah, but you're now going in with it, in with 2 stables and scouts. Looking quite good now. You could already send these guys over, so you're probably waiting for more. Or no, you're not producing any more scouts. Yeah, okay. The scores, of course, already looking quite good for the red player because he's producing villagers, and I'm not quite sure whether green does actually any more villagers. Okay, he's going up to Castle Age. Yeah, but he made I just have a feeling he didn't make any villagers for some time. He's now at 31 pop. The red player is already at 46 pop. Yeah, okay, if you're ahead with 15 villagers, it's of course quite clear that you're quite ahead in score win. Ah, okay, and we even have the first upgrade for the attack. Looking quite good so far. Ah, yeah, and Dangerous Crocodile is attacking. He's garrisoning the TC. Okay, here's a villager coming out. Here's one coming out. Well, now you already have a lot of gold, but you can't do anything with it. You don't have a monastery to make some monks. You can't make knights. So you also have to take care of your eco, of course, that your eco is balanced. Yeah, because it's no use to have 1,400 gold when you don't have the rest to go up, or the probability or the possibility to make some units with it. So always try to mine resources that you need at the moment, and always try to spend the rest that you have at the moment, because with gold now, I mean, if the game drags on for a longer time, you can of course still use the gold. Oh, that's a nice attack there. It's exactly the spot where I would have attacked too. And we hear the town bell, so that causes some idle time. That's nice. Personally, I would go in here and try to destroy the tower at first, and then try to kill the wood line, because if the enemy doesn't have any wood, and that was a nice pick-off with this villager, if the enemy doesn't have wood and he doesn't have a second lumber camp here, yeah, he's in big trouble, because he can't make any more buildings. Now you're going away with the scouts. I wouldn't do that. As I said, I would attack here, but yeah, and we're probably having some knights in the queue here. Yeah, already some knights here in the queue, and of course, knights we easily shred feudal age scouts, no question about that. So at this point, yeah, you're on the way to castle age. That's good, because that's really necessarily needed. But you're doing some damage here. Why don't you attack the scout? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you're preventing him from doing his boom. Yeah, kill the scout. It's looking quite decent. As I said, there were some decisions I'm not a big fan of. Yeah. And he's not doing the TC now. Okay. Good. These guys are not doing anything here. Okay, now back to work. Very good. Theoretically, with all this gold, I would do double or triple monastery and do some conversions on the knights. Okay, he's student, so he has a bonus that he is more resistant to conversion, but you have so much gold in the queue that you could easily make 10 or 12 monks at this point. And if the enemy is going hard into knights, I think that monks would be a good idea. So I personally would make 3, maybe even 4 monasteries at this point. I mean, we have their bonus that we are more resistant to conversion, but we are knights after all, so we should be really fast converted. And of course, you could also make some knights of your own, as you have enough food and gold for that. Is this one producing? Yeah, okay, it's producing the villagers. Okay, all looking fine so far. What these scouts are doing here, I don't know. I would rather put them again here and harass the wood line, because all these villagers were pretty much unprotected. We only could go into the tower. But if you destroy the tower, there would be a lot of villagers that you could pick off. So that's definitely what I would have done, especially as you've already scouted that. So I mean, you already know that there is his wood line. Yeah, now you have the knights in your city, of course. That's not nice. And you're building a castle there. Okay. And you're doing the pikeman upgrade and squire, so that you have pikemen and they are faster. That is, of course, reasonable. But I don't think you have enough military here to really engage in the fight. That looks like a very bad matchup for you so far. Yeah. Now the pikeman upgrade is in, but too late. I think you should have drawn back these units. Also the villagers. Go back there and save them. Okay, now that was a weird move, definitely. Yeah, and now it's a little bit problematic, because you can't really do much about those guys. What I would do is really taking 3 of these guys from gold making monasteries as fast as possible, putting them out, defend your own base, get that castle up. Okay, now you're sending in more villagers, but of course we can't get this up in time. So that's the waste of villagers. That was not a smart move here. And the enemy is fighting your pikeman with his knights. Normally that's not a good idea to fight pikeman with knights, but he has the numbers advantage. So he can still pretty decently do that. I mean, one knight is like the worth of 3 pikemen. So if you can pick up a couple of pikemen here and there, yeah, that's actually quite a good deal, or quite a good off trade for the enemy. Yeah, and now it is very painful to watch this game at this point because you were leading in score all the time because of your better eco, so you had much more villagers. But the problem is just that the enemy made the much more potent army. Now has his knights and we have the higher attack. So yeah, it's a little bit painful to see him crush your eco because you easily could have prevented that with a couple of monks there. Even if it's just 3 or 4 monks at this point out of 1 or 2 monasteries, you could have easily converted like 5 knights, and he probably would have thought twice about diving into a town where there are already several monks. But okay, he's doing his boom now too. Let's have a look at the villager score. Okay, he's at 44 pop now. You still have the villager lead, which is nice. So he's at 44, you're at 63. So it's almost 20 villagers or 20 units that you are ahead. I mean, not villagers because you have a lot of pikemen. But anyways, you still have the numbers advantage. You're still leading in score, so everything is looking quite fine. And yeah, at this point, I really miss a monastery, at least to get the relics, because they're having 3 relics here next to your doorstep. And you really should get those. Also, you could think about maybe pushing forth with some pikemen and consider taking at least 1 or 2 of his relics. I think that would be an easy steal here. And now the enemy is doing what I wanted to see from you all the time. He's making a monastery and he's getting his monks out. So he wants to get at least the relics, I guess. And maybe also use the monks aggressively, but I guess the green player is rather the kind of player I'm thinking about this defensive tower here that wants to play long term. And also he has a lot of knights that are pretty wounded here on this side. So it might be very sensible to actually heal those guys. Yeah, and he's healing them. And it's pretty funny how he's healing from so far away. But the Teutons, we have a bonus that we can heal from twice the range, what a normal monk would do. Oh, who is healing? Is he healing? Now healing the other guy. And now you're making step lancers. Not so sure about that unit choice. I mean, okay, you could use them to raid. And if you went here, here's a nice woodline that you could raid. Of course, you don't see that at the moment because I only can see that because I don't have the Fog of War. But if you did more scouting, and that's another point that is very important, always do some scouting because you have scouted the enemy base here, but for like 6-7 minutes or so, you didn't have any scout near the base, so you're basically not knowing anything what he's doing. He could make a full siege switch or monk switch, whatever. You don't know what he's doing, so that's of course always bad. You always want to scout the enemy. So if you had some scouts here, you would quite obviously see that he has a lot of villagers here, so that's 9 villagers. And if you just went in with all these step lancers here, so that's 18 step lancers, we would very easily pick off all these villagers, and losing 10 villagers of your economy, that's a very painful thing, of course. So personally, I think I would do that. Okay, now he's eating his berries. Better late than never. And the good Clemens is online too. Yeah, I don't like this now. It's not the unit choice. Step lancers are a decent choice, I would personally say. So it's not that. Problem is just you have already a lot of pikemen here in the base, so you don't need any extra protection. And these guys, they don't do anything. And now I don't know the exact price of Step Lancer, but I think it's like 60 wood and 40 gold, something like that. No, 70 food and 40 gold. I don't make them a lot, so I don't know the exact costs there. But anyways, these guys were not doing anything, and you spent 110 resources on each, so that's like roughly 2,000 resources. It's like 1980 resources, and these guys are not doing anything. And what use is an army that doesn't do anything? So I don't like that. What I like is the monk, to see this monk here now. But as I said, you should have made more of these monks because yeah, you could theoretically have made some camels. That's also a good idea because humans have camels. Although we don't have heavy camels, so they don't scale that nicely in late game because you cannot upgrade them to heavy camels. But you could have made some camels versus the knights. But personally, even versus Teuton knights, some monks would have been the best defense. So I really miss having like 4 or 5 monks in the base here. And then with some more monks and the pikemen, you could have pushed 4th here and get the relics. And as I said, the big problem that I see here now in this game is just the inactivity. Because these guys were standing here for like 5 minutes and not doing anything. And just imagine how much damage you could do if you went to this woodline, or if you had gone to this woodline, for instance. Or maybe here, and look if you can pick off some units. Okay, now you're engaging with the knights. Of course, he's also having his Teutonic knights there. I don't think he even would have needed to fight with his knights. I think it would have been more than enough to just use his Teutonic knights, because we completely shred Helvetia, so Helvetia basically chanceless versus that. Yeah, now you're in a bit of a bad situation, because you're still making cavalry, and Teutonic knights, of course, with their impressive melee armor. We also completely shred step lancers, so that's a little bit problematic. Oh, he's doing a castle with 2 villagers. That's more than brave, I would personally say. Yeah, but now the step lancers come. We should do a decent fight versus the knights because of the higher numbers and because we have a range attack, even if it's just a 1 tile range attack. You should theoretically clear this up, but I'm not completely sure if that is a good trade for you. Oh yeah, it looks decent actually, it looks decent. But doesn't matter, you're still leading in score. So, still looking kind of okay. But, oh, finished replaying. Okay, the green player just resigned. Okay, that's interesting. He was like, oh, I've lost my army here. Let's just resign. Yeah, what he should have done is getting up his castle faster, sending in some more villagers, protecting this with his army. I don't think it was particularly clever of him to attack the stable. I mean, why would he? You have enough other stables. It's not really like he's doing much damage there. You should have protected his castle, go fast in, and then do some traps, and with the traps try to kill your castle. So, yeah, what the green player did there was a little bit disappointing. Also, he gave up pretty fast. Yeah, I still think he had kind of a chance still. But yeah, if he wants to step out, he didn't even GG. Of course, that's not cool, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, but as I told you, you were very inactive with his units. Again, I think Step Lancers for humans and for Mongols are probably the best unit to go into. You could have made some cap check versus the Teutonic Knights, but I also must say that countering Teutonic Knights with human is not that easy, because you don't have hand cannoneer, you don't have bracer, and the in the blacksmith, so there are not many really good options versus Teutonic Knight. Of course, you could do cavalry archers or heavy cavalry archers, but we just have 4+2, which means 6 range. Yeah, countering Teutonic Knights plus Halberdier plus Onager is not an easy job as humans. I mean, of course, you can make some Kipchak, but they're also not really great at this point. Yeah, but you asked me for some input on giving you advice on how to become better. And yeah, I've seen 2 big mistakes. The first one was that you're hoarding a real mess of gold. You were hoarding like 1,500 gold. And of course, I'm far from a perfect player. I think that's pretty clear for someone who plays
Alright.
at 1100 ELO. So I'm far away from a perfect player. But what the perfect player should do, theoretically, is always spending the resources once you have them. So basically, the only scenario where you would hoard masses of resources is when you go to Castle Age or to Imperial Age, or you buy a very expensive upgrade like Siege Onager. So this is the only situation where you should hoard big masses of resources, because normally you should try to spend the resources that you have as soon as you have them. And yeah, just hoarding 1500 gold in Feudal Age, that's of course nonsensical, because you don't have any use if the resources are just on your bank. It's like with real life money. Yeah, it's basically like a potential. I mean, of course, yeah, you can buy some things with your money, but money on the bank account won't make you happy. But if you take that money and buy a new car or something with it, that's of course what you want to go for. You want to invest your money into things, and yeah, having 1500 gold in Feudal Age, that's really insane. So you should really try to balance out your eco, and you could either way have bought some resources with a market, but that's a waste of resources. So next time when you're already having like 400, 500 gold, you can basically take all the guys that are on gold and put them on farms. Or at least most of them. I mean, it's not bad to have some extra gold, so that in Castle Age you can immediately make a couple of knights. So it's not completely wrong, but having 1500 gold is just an insane, a ludicrous amount of gold. So you always want to try to balance that out. And yeah, that was the first big mistake, that your resources were not balanced. And the second big mistake was that you had a lot of military here but didn't do anything. And as I told you, if you had gone to this woodline, it was completely unprotected. The TC hadn't gone up yet. And you had like, how many was it? Like 9 or 10 villagers were on this woodline. If you just had gotten in here, these villagers would all have been dead within a couple of seconds. Within a matter of seconds. I mean, step lancers were very effective at picking off trade units or villagers. So, just do that. And yeah, scouting, of course. As I told you, you didn't scout the base for, I think for the last 10 or 12 minutes of the whole game. You didn't scout the enemy base at all. That's of course bad, because scouting information is very, very important. If you know what your enemy is producing, for instance, if he is doing attack switch, and instead of stable units, he's now making 3 archer ranges, because he wants to go hand cannoneer as students, or pikeman, or skirmisher, I mean. For instance, if he sees that you have some Kipcheck and he's making some archery ranges, if you know that your enemy already has 3 production buildings, you also already know that he's going to invest into these units, and you already know what he's making. And yeah, but that always gives you extra time. And of course, you are much better prepared when you already know what the enemy is doing than if you only how do I put this? It just gives you a time advantage that you can always prepare counter units. So if you're making if he's making skirmishers, and you already see that he has like 10 skirmishers in the back of his base, you can start making light cav or making onager or mangonel or whatever. And it's always a big advantage just to know what the enemy is doing. I also sometimes do that mistake, but I do not profoundly scout the enemy, or not all the time. But at least every like 5 or 6 minutes, you should have a scout going through the base just to see, okay, what is he producing now? What kind of unit is he now making? How do I counter this? How do I prepare for the next attack? And so on. And yeah, this in combination, if you had scouted, you could have attacked this one. And yeah, as I said, it would have been devastating, because at this point where he had this woodline here unprotected, he had like, I think around 40 villagers. So you could very easily at this point have taken out like 25% of his economy. So a fourth of his economy was on this woodline. And as you can imagine, you already had the will lead. If you now had killed some of his villagers, or if you now had killed even a fourth of his economy, the game basically would already have been over, because you would have been in such an economical in such an economical advantage, or in such a better economical situation, that I don't see any chance for the green player to do anything anymore. So, yeah, that's basically what I see in this game. And you still have the steer. So, yeah, as I said, that's a lot of resources that you just didn't take. And you also have to see they're all for free, yeah? Because 1 year is 140 food. And a farm without any upgrades is 175 food. So it's almost the same amount of food that a farm offers. But a farm costs 260 food, costs 260 wood, sorry. But the deer is free. So there was a lot of free food that you basically didn't take in. And yeah, that's a little bit problematic. So next time, instead of doing all the scouting with your scout at the start, just get the llamas. And maybe to take 2 llama scouts. One is going here and scouting this part of the base. And the other is making a way around here and scouting this part of the base. And while your llamas are scouting around and your villagers don't have enough llamas to eat, you can take your scout, you push the deer in, so you go behind this deer. When the deer is going here, then you put your scout again here, and slowly but steadily you drag the deer to the TC, and you should eat the deer there, because as I said, it's a lot of free food, and yeah, just leaving 700, 600 food that you can have for free, just leaving it and ignoring it is not a good idea. Yeah, but so far so good. I think the win was actually deserved. The green player did a couple of things a little bit better, but you played more aggressive, even although your uptime was pretty late. But you played more aggressive and you sent in some scouts and made some damage there. You got a bit lucky then with the fights later on, because if the green player had made better use of his knights, he could have gone to the back of your base and killed your wood line instead. So at this point, when the knights were coming in, I was a little bit worried that the game could flip to the other side. But yeah, you had such a big economical advantage, of course, that things were still going fine. It's actually funny or crazy how good the humans perform at this ELO. Because the problem with the feudal age town center is that they build much slower and you have a much less economy than you usually would have in castle age, or some players even go up very fast to make a second TC. And yeah, it has a lot of up and down sides. Of course, you have one more building to save your villagers and you have one more building to put out villagers, but it can really hurt your early game economy. And if you play on a higher ELO level, like 1100 or above of it, usually players are very efficient and proficient in damaging you or in punishing you for that, because they will play aggressive and will raid you. So if you play on the higher ELOs, the humans are not that good anymore, because this greedy 2TC boom can very easily be punished. But as the green player was also very slow with his uptime to feudal age, you could just boom with your second TC there, and he didn't play aggressive, so that didn't go unpunished. That didn't go punished, so you went unpunished out of that. But as I said, on the higher ELO levels, of course, this kind of greedy boom with no military doesn't really work out. But on this ELO it works pretty nicely. So that's funny, because I've noticed that the higher the ELO gets, the less humans are a good option. There's still a strong civilization if you are pocket on Black Force, for instance, and you can boom. But they are not that strong on high ELO level. It's funnily the opposite thing with the Chinese. So if you pick the Chinese, I think the Chinese are about the worst civ in 800 ELO, or at least some of the worst civs. And if you go to 1600 ELO or 2k ELO, 2000 ELO and above, suddenly the Chinese are one of the best civs. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the opposite thing with the humans. Yeah, but just having a look here at the statistics. Okay, yeah, the green player, he actually had much more units killed. Yeah, later on the fights that you took were a little better, but yeah, the thing is just you could afford losing so many units because you had a much better eco. Yeah, I really could tell that. Also had much more gold there. But as I said, a couple of monks, 4 or 5 monks in your base could easily have prevented the enemy from going there and taking all your units out. And yeah, this is a very late feudal time. Usually you would try to be around in feudal age after about 10 minutes or so. And then in castle age, if you're doing a fast castle, maybe after 16, 17, at maximum 18 minutes. So with some civilizations like Mongols that have a hunting bonus, basically the feudal time that you're having here could be a castle age time for other civilizations like Mongols. So this is really, really late, and castle age after 25 minutes is also not not that impressive. Yeah, good, but you got your relics. Still, as I said, it was overall a well-deserved win. I think you played better than the green player, but there were some major mistakes that were a little bit harder. Let's have a look at the green player. Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought. He had enough rest, actually, or almost enough rest to go to Imperial Age. And looking at your res, you're still quite a bit away from that, both in food and gold. And I think if I had taken over at this part and played the green player's part, I just would have sent more villagers to the middle here, committed into this castle, and then maybe try to do a second castle. I mean, he already has almost enough stone for another castle. He has like 521 stone. So I think what I would have done is finishing this castle, going up to Imperial Age as fast as possible, making another TC here in the middle, and then doing a Halberdier or at least some pikemen, and maybe do another castle around here, and then slowly push into your base with trebuchets. As I said, the game wasn't over yet. You had the economical bonus, but Green had a lot of very good rates here with his military. So that's what I would have done at this point. Yeah, it's actually funny that you sent so many builds here unprotected in for the gold. Usually that's not the brightest idea, because on a higher level, as I said, people would do more scouting. So this could be very easily detected or very easily discovered and abused by sending in just 2 or 3 knights that can kill easily all the villagers. So this is a little bit brave, but I think on 800 ELO you can make such moves, because very, very likely you can get away with it. And you're making another TC, I like that. You're also getting a lot of stone here in the corner. And seeing as the green player also basically didn't scout at all, it's very, very likely that this TC right in the corner of the map won't get detected. So I like this one. But yeah, that's pretty much everything about it. So yeah, as you have seen, just take the free food, use your military that you have, spend your resources, balance your economy, make some monks. And next time, if you just try to put in the advice that I've just given you, I think if you play next time, it should be quite a bit better already. Good. But that much said about this game. I would jump to the next game, but I will do that in another video, because I don't want the videos to be extremely long. So this is already like probably over 40 minutes now, and I will have a look at the next game. Have a look at the next game in the next video. So thanks for watching. I hope it was informative for you, and it would be nice to see you in the next game. So yeah, thanks, and see you soon, guys.